Okay, I believe I finally got the oil leak fixed. I'm gonna let it run for a minute and see. Yes, I believe I did. There's no more coming down. Okay, that's one issue. Then I believe I have one small coolant leak, a residual leak that is up above. It's in a nightmare spot. This is why I hate BMWs. So I keep getting coolant that's coming right down. Actually, it's not now. Okay, I had coolant that kept coming right here. But I also had the thought it might be residual from when I was putting the hoses and filling it in there. I spilled some. I think it may have been sitting on the frame, and now that I've got it obviously with the tires jacked up in the air, I think being that it was tilted back, it was all that coolant on the frame that was running down, because it's staying dry now. I like that. Okay. So, with that being said, if those are both good, I'll show you that I've got the new suspension in. There is a wire that was not in the car that I just had to tie wire out of the side for brake wear indicators, right there. That wire wasn't attached. That's actually the zip tie that they had on there. I'm gonna look and see what that goes to, because everything's fine as far as the braking goes, but it might set a check engine light for something braking. But as you can see, I've got the new coilovers in. Now these are dialed down as low as they can go. They cannot go any lower without losing the tension of that spring. If I take this any lower, that spring is going to be rattling around like the old one was. I can't have that. I want to have it nice and stout so that your suspension is stiff going down the road and even. I've got your new sway bar links in. That's these. This one on the driver's side was detached. The one that was on the passenger side was completely gone. That holds this bar in place. As you can see, the old one had taken some of the paint off when whatever happened. But this bar is okay. It's just surface that it took off. But now you have the end link bars in, the stabilizer bar links. You have the coilovers in, and I am not getting any oil. I am so freaking happy. Oh, I've been fighting that. That was an oil leak. These engines, once you get them in, trying to get to anything is a nightmare. There was an oil leak back down there, but about halfway down. That was a nightmare to get to. You can't see. I had to take a camera and run it down there. Still couldn't see where it was coming from until I let it run for a while. But I finally found that. The engine sounds great. I've got to let it get up to operating temperature tomorrow or the next day so I can make sure that I can do a compression test just to make sure that everything is all good there. Other than that, it's running nicely. It's running very nicely. Yeah. Okay, so I'll send this to you just so you kind of know. I'm not working on it. I'm trying to get to it as I can with stuff with my mother, and this thing ended up being a lot. And part of what I know doesn't make sense to you, but what I was trying to explain, putting your kids back out on the road in this, I needed to make sure that this stuff was okay. And it's not a matter of simply bolting it in. Everything has to line up and be aligned perfectly, and the dimensions have to match to pull this bar. And this bar runs all the way across to this side, and it connects to this side. So everything needs to be a certain set distance. You have to tweak, and you have to take stuff back out, make adjustments, put it back in, remeasure, find that you went a little too far on one side and now it pulled the other side twice as much. I mean, it was just a bunch of bullshit. Because the old ones, this is how they came out of the car. They sit up in the car that way, like I was looking from the bottom this way. This is that link that was supposed to be connected. The bracket for it is completely bent. That's supposed to stick straight out. This bottom link didn't have a nut on there and wasn't connected. This was the passenger side. Now, as you can see that bracket now, see how it's at a 90-degree angle? This was the driver's side. See how it's not at a 90-degree angle? The difference? Okay, then this link wasn't connected at the bottom. This link wasn't even in the car. I mean, just gone. These springs have zero tension on them. So when you're going over bumps, it's not offering anything. It was actually letting the car ride about 2 inches lower than it's supposed to. This part is supposed to be holding this up. This spring, there we go. You can see on this one because it's not adjusted properly. Watch this. This is how it came out of the car. So the spring was sitting like this, and the weight of the car wasn't allowing it to sit that much lower than it's supposed to. So it was damaging and taking all the other suspension components out of alignment. And I had to go back and figure out, I had to get one end set, and then when everything didn't measure up, I had to take everything back out and start from the what they would call the back of the suspension and work my way forward until all the dimensions matched where they were supposed to go. So it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. The gap in here is going to be more than what you guys had before. It's not going to look like it rides as low. But that's because the old ones were allowing it to ride way lower than it was ever supposed to. It was not supposed to sit that low. And I'm imagining that that's probably how that happened. When whatever this was that hit this and bent the crap out of that, I'm assuming that when that happened, this tire moved, and that's probably how this ripple got in here. It probably did that at that time. So just stupid stuff that's really hard to explain, but was really a lot more work than I intended. So that's kind of what I've got to offer you. But it is running. I'm fixing the stuff, and I'm working on getting there while dealing with my mom at the same time. The plus side, it sounds great. It's running great. The oil leaks are stopped. I'll be able to get it down off the jack stands, pull it outside, let it run until it heats all the way up, do a compression test to make sure that the compression is good, give it a nice bath, and it will be on its way to you. Just bear with me. I'm almost there.